Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another CineFix Roundtable. This week we have yet another new guy, Mashable entertainment editor, Josh Dickey. Josh, how's it going, man?
Hey, welcome. Oh wait.
Oh, thank you.
You say that to me. I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
Honestly, I feel like we're kind of moving into your place.
I do feel welcome.
So.
No, this is great. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. So this week, just to jump right into it, what we're talking about, we're kind of at the halfway point, 2016, a little past it now, officially, I think. So we're going to talk about our favorite movies of 2016 so far and the ones that we're looking forward to most coming up in the second half of 2016. Overall, general impressions, have we liked the movies this year?
I was really drawing a blank when you asked me what my favorites were of 2016 thus far. I was just like, I can't remember anything that really blew me away. And I had to kind of look through the list of movies that had come out thus far. And then I did find a few which made me feel better. I was just like, okay, it's not all negativity or mediocrity. There are some good gems out there, but they're kind of few and far between.
It's been a bad summer. Our blockbusters have not been very good. I mean, honestly,
summer.
The best movies we've had from that sort of, blockbuster and or animated world have been like Zootopia.
The family movies have done really well.
But for the most part, the big one, and Civil War obviously was a lot of fun. Yeah. But after that, there's a huge drop off, and the summer has just been kind of a dud.
Yeah. And even Civil War was like, it was good. It was really solid, but it was like whelming. It wasn't over or underwhelming. Like, it was exactly whelming, I feel like.
I was overwhelmed at first. Yeah. But I'm kind of backing that down to whelmed with time.
I had the same thought about Deadpool. It was everybody was going nuts about Deadpool, and then I watched it again. I'm like, it's good, totally good.
That was my experience walking out, but I think that because of all the hype, I went in there like, there's just no way. Yeah. There's no way it's going to live up to this hype. So I was pleasantly surprised that it was still pretty good, but I was whelmed.
It's the most dangerous thing about movies is going in too hot.
Yeah, I went through my entire list of movie stubs, and just sorted through them. Did the same thing, like, what did I see this year? Looked through them, I'm like, okay. One of my picks, this is kind of a cheesy pick, but and it's fresh on our minds, but I really enjoyed Ghostbusters, so I'm adding that to my favorite of the year.
That's okay.
Just purely because I can't think of another movie this year that was so anticipated by me, and then I enjoyed thoroughly just watching. Whether it's a good or bad movie, I don't really care. I enjoyed it. I wasn't disappointed. But sitting in the theater going, oh my gosh, it's happening, I'm watching it, that to me is a fun movie-going experience. So I enjoyed that.
We said in our review, we completely agree it was a totally good time, but for some reason I think so many people had just their minds made up and were giving the movie negative reviews on various websites without even having seen it. But I think once you see it, it's actually pretty fun.
It's fun. Did you see it? Yeah.
I was so ready for this. I was ready to have that experience, and I was sitting in a fan screening with people wearing costumes, and there was energy in the room, and then the movie happened, and I was just like, okay.
Now, is that whelmed or underwhelmed?
Yeah.
That's a little underwhelmed. That's underwhelmed.
Tipping more to the underwhelmed.
What about you? Other top picks?
We'll get this sort of caveat-filled favorites of 2016 out of the way. Honest to God, one of my favorite movies this year was Eddie the Eagle.
I liked that.
It was just, and it's there's nothing to it. There's nothing to this movie. It's a formula of a movie, and they did it exactly right.
It's an ice cream cone.
It's a Disney sports movie. Exactly. It's candy. And I had a friend of mine just the other night actually was telling me about, well, have you read about the real Eddie the Eagle? I'm like, no, don't want to hear about it.
The movie does take some license with the story of Eddie the Eagle, which I am old enough to remember actually following when it was happening. What it doesn't take license with and completely nails is the tone of an 80s movie.
Yeah.
It is the music, it's the color palette. This movie could have been made in the year in which it's supposed to be taking place, and I would not tell you otherwise.
There were parts of it that felt like those great ski movies, the ski schools and the hot dogs and all. It was great. And even when they used Van Halen's jump while he was doing a ski jump, I'm like, this is not too on the nose. I am okay with this. I don't know if it's the best movie that I've seen so far, but it was one of my favorites.
All right.
Well, you were saying going in too hot is one of the worst things that can happen with a movie. I completely agree. It happens to me over and over. I'll get so pumped for something, and then I'm like, oh, well, that didn't meet my expectations at all. I had the opposite experience with my first pick, which is Everybody Wants Some, Richard Linklater's last movie, because I remember seeing those trailers and being like, oh, no. Did Linklater sell out?
What are we doing, Linklater?
It felt those trailers were so misleading because they felt like they should be an Adam Devine movie, which, no tea, no shade to Adam Devine, although kind of tea and shade. By the way, tune into my podcast, All TL Shade.
All TL Shade.
I mean, I'm a fan of Workaholics, but like, I don't want Richard Linklater's Workaholics.
Right.
But then when I saw the movie, it was completely different. It really, truly was the spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused, which is, I think, what their logline was on the posters. And it was so fun. Like, I remember just smiling from ear to ear the entire time I was watching it.
If I remember right, the Red Band trailer hit first. Because it was like, and then the Green Band trailer came out later, and it was like much better because the Green Band trailer had to like lean on what the story was and who the characters are, and I was like, oh, well, that actually looks good now. And the Red Band trailer was just a bunch of, dick and fart jokes.
But yeah, I just thought that it had great characters. It really does feel like, oh, great, now like if I don't feel like watching Dazed and Confused again, I can watch that one. Yeah, so it was really great, yeah.
I always feel like watching Dazed and Confused.
I know,
again,
that's never going to happen.
That's a drop everything proposition when it's on the TV.
Right.
Well, I had to dig pretty deep to find something that I felt
Got a deep cut.
was worth this mantle. And the one that I put front and center and continue to do so, and I don't see it coming down, is The Invitation.
Yep.
Which is this really weird, very low budget, sort of parlor story that takes place in the Hollywood Hills. I went into this movie knowing nothing about it, only having heard that it was good, and for the first 20 minutes, I hated it. I hated it. I was like, I hate these people. I hate this style of filmmaking. Yeah. I'm about to turn this off, and then about minute 25, minutes 30, something happens. And then I'm like this. And by the end of the movie, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but by the end of the movie, I was like, rah! Like I am like doing the thing in my chair, and then that final cut.
Yeah.
Just devastating. I'm yet to, I mean, it was like Hitchcock. It was like a little bit like Kubrick. It was like in that zone for me. I thought it was terrific.
It's incredible. And it's one of these movies where the only thing that I had read about this movie was I saw a headline in somebody's article somewhere and it said, don't let some asshole ruin the invitation for you. And so it was just like, if you can at all go in clean to a movie, like you have to go in clean to this movie.
I made the mistake of, I just did a double feature the other night of Cloverfield Lane and The Witch.
Okay.
Which are two movies that needed to be gone into clean, and I was not clean going in. I'd read and seen just peripherally so much about them that it kind of ruined them for me.
Yeah.
Really good movies, and maybe if I had that experience, would have made my list.
So what else are we looking forward to for the back half of this year?
Oh gosh, I mean,
let me ask you this, just generally, when you're looking forward to the rest of the year, was it as hard to find movies that you're excited about as it was initially to find movies that you've liked so far?
Yeah, I looked through, see what was coming out, and not a whole lot of standouts for me, but a couple big ones.
Yeah. And some are standouts just on paper because some of them don't even have trailers up yet. So it's just like, I'm excited by the bones of this movie.
By the
but
fact
I kind
that
of
this has a release date.
I need a little sample.
Yeah.
Not to be too obvious, but Doctor Strange. I mean, what I love about this is that every time Marvel tries to do something a little bit different, it works. Like it worked with Ant-Man, trying to be more toward humor, Guardians of the Galaxy more toward wacky space, and this is like yet another side of them that we're going to see. I wouldn't necessarily say that with a lot of the standalone movies that they are planning, but this one just feels like it has the. I'm not a Cumberbatch guy. Like he kind of makes my.
Not a Cumberbatch guy?
He kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit.
That was a rule.
I recognize Benedict Cumberbatch is a very talented actor.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't give them
Stick
what
to
they
your
want.
guns.
Yeah, but that and the other one, not to be too much of a Disney shill here, but Moana looks terrific to me. The things that I saw when they showed us some scenes at D23 got that sort of tingly like Disney magic. And Disney, I know, they've been on a little bit of a depressed period right now because Alice didn't do all that well. But in the BFG, see them bounce back in a big way with that one.
One I'm looking forward to is Sully. That I was very interested in that story when it happened. I thought it was fascinating, and then seeing the trailer and like Tom Hanks is the perfect person to play it. I'm just like, yes, this is the perfect movie for Tom Hanks and like that story. And I don't know, it looks really interesting to me. I don't know. Am I alone on this?
Are you a fan of the biopic?
Depending on what the subject is,
So long as Clint Eastwood is doing it.
The way that they made it seem like that whole movie was going to be sort of turning on the Monday morning quarterbacking that took, instead of like rah heroism, like what did you do wrong to make this happen in the first
exactly.
place?
That's why it looks interesting. It's not just here's the thing that happened, but
I personally am looking most forward to the point when early, like when we go back in his career and he's flying overseas and he goes over Captain Phillips' ship and looks down, and when they wave at each other.
So that could be cool. I'm really looking forward to Magnificent Seven. I'm a sucker for a Western. and Antoine Fuqua and Denzel Washington hanging out together is always a good time.
Yeah, I mean, Fuqua, I'm conflicted. I feel like he is a great director for performances, but often, like, the story is kind of like, well, that's not very original or interesting. Like, I'm just saying of Southpaw, I think that was his most recent. Gyllenhaal was great in it, and I think a lot of that is obviously Gyllenhaal's own talent along with having great direction from Fuqua, but I felt like the movie itself was very, like, by the book. It was very paint by numbers. So.
Well, the good news is this is literally a remake. So
Yeah.
I guess you can expect that.
That's kind of where I was going. I'm like, well, maybe this is even better for him because then he can just focus on like getting great performances out of his actors. I don't know.
No,
It's a remake of 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 a remake.
Yeah, because Magnificent Seven is Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai.
And Bug's Life.
To a lesser extent, Three Amigos.
That's true. That's right. Yeah. Three Amigos being my favorite of all of them. So
Yes,
far.
yeah. I'm most likely to watch again, anyway.
I don't know. I mean, not to be Debbie Downer here, but I thought that the trailers looked like a bunch of rich boys playing cowboys in a set. Just like, hey, we're being cowboys. We're so cool.
I do think, and here's the other thing that I'm rooting for.
I don't know.
No, it's fine. The other thing that I'm rooting
It's
for.
not entirely untrue.
No,
think
it's 100% accurate. Yeah, but like the other thing that I'm kind of excited about is like I feel like Pratt needs to stop being a leading man. Like I thought he was just so bad in Jurassic World because
He was
just
very
didn't-
bad.
He didn't need to be steering that ship. I mean, the movie had other problems, obviously, but like if he can exactly.
That was him.
That was him the whole time. Like, is that a dinosaur? There might be a dinosaur over there. So if he can get back to just being like fun Chris Pratt hanging out on the side, I don't know. I'm not expecting it to be like Wild Bunch kind of iconic, but I think it will be like a violent Western I'm into.
Yeah,
And I'm not going to apologize.
Hey, I don't expect it to. Let's bring the movie on. Let's see the movie.
Yeah. It's coming up.
I love being wrong. It happens all the time.
Yeah, when I was scrolling through the still not released movies, one stood out to me, and that was, of course, Tyler Perry Presents Boo! A Madea Halloween.
Sure.
JK. But I actually am looking forward to something that's coming out pretty soon, which is Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
I think maybe just like watching, this is not like intentionally shameless self-promotion, but the What's the Difference episode reminded me of how much I love the first movie. So I'm like hoping that this new one will be a little bit of a return to just like a classic high action, high body count movie, like lots of good fight sequences and spy stuff,
Well, and the Ultimatum, the third one, it was really good too. So it's like if it's just like a whole lot of chasing and apparently Matt Damon's got something like 20 lines in the whole movie. Like he just doesn't say much. So it's like
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
It's one of those.
It's just him punching people with books again. So those are some of the ones that we're excited about. Obviously, there's a couple other sort of obvious ones. There's Suicide Squad. I'm looking forward to. There's Rogue One that.
That's the big one for me. Like the big one. I mean, come on, it's gonna be awesome.
And there was the whole hubbub about all of the reshoots. Apparently, they reshot like 40% of the movie or something like that.
Yeah, but that amazing behind-the-scenes sizzle reel that just came out, like blew our minds. I don't know about you. How
I
you
was
feel
a
about
little
it?
bit down on it, and then that sizzle reel came out, and I was like, I'm back.
So good.
Totally back.
Yep.
Another movie that had a lot of reshoots and a lot of problems finding its way to the screen was The Godfather. So, let's put this in perspective here.
Jaws.
Jaws. Tons of problems making that movie happen.
And then even more
It
recently.
really shouldn't even exist.
No, it should not have been a finished movie.
I am starting to get a very severe case of Star Wars fatigue. It is really
Already?
setting in with me at this point, and
No.
Not gonna happen.
just about the only thing that could maybe pull me out of it is like a purely kick-ass war movie version of Star Wars. All the touchy-feely stuff about Force Awakens, all the crying at the celebrations, all that stuff is making me feel very nauseous. Let's have a war. Let's blow up.
I think that's what we're
I
gonna
feel like
get,
Rogue
right?
One.
so too.
Rogue One looks like Star Wars by way of Private Ryan in a couple of spots. I mean,
Be fine with me.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to all things Star Wars. If you couldn't tell.
We know.
Okay, so just getting that out there.
Just getting
No
that out
fatigue
there.
for me.
Yeah,
I'm
his
ready
shirt
to
does
go.
not say tar. There's more letters. There you go.
I have like 20 Star Wars shirts.
I don't think I have 20 shirts.
I don't think I do either. But
I can let you borrow some.
We can try. I'll go home and I'll count. All right, everybody, that is what we think. Those are some of our favorite movies so far in 2016, some of the ones we're looking forward to most for the rest of the year. Let us know what you think. What are you looking forward to most? What's been your favorite thus far in 2016 now that we're at the halfway mark? Click like, subscribe, stick around CineFix for more movie stuff, and we will see you next time. Does Stranger Things count as one of my favorite things so far? I haven't finished the series yet, but it's possibly one of my favorite things so far.
It's more Amblin than any of the Amblin movies that ever Amblined.
Yeah, I know.